Hello, world, and welcome to another fantastic show where you are being entertained by Big Daddy Zach the Goat here at the NoBrainerShow.com. Did I just say the? Oh my gosh, I just totally screwed it up. It's No Brainer Show. And I did, funny, Scott, sorry. I just did a podcast and I said the reason we didn't name it was because if you type in a million shows show up. So we drop it. And I always have, it's not grammatically correct to just say No Brainer Show. So you want to throw in but for the URL, I have to do that way. But anyway, welcome to another show where, as you can see, I am not perfect. Far from it, but at least we get here and we do things where we can help us get closer to perfection, whether it be in sales, entrepreneurism, business, whatever it is. But tonight we happen to have a fantastic guest. His name is Scott Finkelstein. Steen, I said it right. Finkelstein. Sorry. I don't know why I went to Stein, but I looked over at your name and it threw me off for a minute. And he is, as we would call, a sales coach guru, which is near and dear to my heart because we all know that I've been in sales for, my mom will say 57 years because my whole life I've been negotiating. But and professionally, I've been in sales for at least 35 years probably. And so I'm looking really forward to this conversation because I think we're going to share some good tidbits and get I'm hoping some great insight. And so for all you sales guys out there, put on your thinking caps and get ready. And let's go. Hey, Scott. So first of all, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I was looking forward to this all day.
All right. And where are you coming in from right now?
I'm in warm Austin, Texas. 84 degrees today. I love the one day of winter we have, and now it's spring.
Yeah, well, we had actually this year Florida has been had a couple really cold weeks. Like normally we'll get one or two, but this year it seemed like it lasted a little longer. And like the other night, even though it's getting more in the 70s. Today was in the 80s. But the other night I took the dog out at like 2:30 in the morning, whatever time he wakes me up to go to the bathroom. And it was like 30 degrees outside. I'm like, what the heck is going on? This is ridiculous. But anyway, so all right, you're in Texas. Is that where you reside now?
Yeah, I've been here for 6.5 years. I'm from the east, northeast like you, the tri-state area, Connecticut, and been in Texas after living all over the world and moved here in August of 2019.
Awesome. Well, that's funny. My trip, I left Jersey in 94. I moved to Dallas, lived in Dallas for, I want to say 14 months. We moved there in June and we left in like August or September. But yeah, I mean, we were there for a little over a year. It was great. Loved it. My ex got transferred to Florida. They actually had an opening for, she was a district manager for a retail store. Some of you might have heard of it, Victoria's Secrets. And they said, well, we have Punta Gorda or Orlando. And we're like, Punta what? Hindsight 2020. I wish I'd moved there because that's freaking awesome down there. It's just so relaxing. You go down to Punta Gorda. Well, I understand why it's the retirement capital of the world because you just go down there and everything is just so chill. I mean, it's just so cool. But we ended up in Orlando and I've been here since 96. So I left the Northeast. I remember the last snowstorm in 1993. We had like 17 snowstorms back to back. And I was like, enough. No, I can't take it. Nope, I'm done. I'm out. So I was a big snow guy. I mean, I liked it. I skied. We did a lot of snow sports, but the cold sucks. I mean, sorry. There is no way.
It friggin' sucks. Let's not sugarcoat it.
So I moved here begrudgingly because I did not really want to move to Florida. I thought I was going to stay in Texas. I have a lot of great friends in Texas. My best friend lives there. He's a chiropractor. He's Dr. Green. And so if you're in the Dallas area, you need a good chiropractor, look him up. He's the best. And my kids live there now. My ex moved back to Texas. And I'm like, seriously? And you guys jam me up in Florida. But that's all right. I mean, I take paradise, as I tell my friends up north.
You got Mickey there with you.
Oh yeah, I'm more goofy than Mickey. But let's dive back into you. So you grew up in Connecticut, high school, college.
Yeah, all the above from birth through college and my first job.
Okay, cool. All right, so a true Yankee, as they would say, which is funny.
To my grandmother's chagrin, who was born and raised a Red Sox fan her whole 94 years of life. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Well, when I moved to Texas, they were like, "Oh, you're from Jersey. You must want to be them Yankees." I said, first of all, no. If you're from New York or New Jersey, we're not Yankees. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, excuse my French. I said, but we're assholes. We're not. We're not Yankees. That's what we are. And everybody's like, oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. All right, then. So, yeah, my family, my grandparents immigrated from the Ukraine to New Jersey. Half the family went to Canada, half went to New Jersey. My half ended up in Jersey. And then my great grandparents on my mom's side immigrated from Italy to New York. And it's funny because my father and mother met. He happened to be the neighbor of my mom's aunt. And my mom wanted nothing to do with that country bumpkin. My mom was a city girl through and through. And, they had the most fantastic relationship in the world. So, we got blessed and grew up in Jersey.
That's awesome.
Left there, went to Texas. I love Texas. Texas people are biggest hearts on the, here's why I like Texas so much. It's very similar to the Northeast with the attitude and the vibrato. Everybody loves each other and the loyalty, but they don't cuss you out. They say it a lot nicer down there,
Oh my God. I say to people all the time, I go, y'all like New Yorkers, like, and they kind of, what? I go, the only difference is you tell someone to screw off with a cute accent and a smile. That's the difference.
Right. And you bless your heart. Yeah, you just told me to F off, didn't you? Okay, I know your number. Okay. I got you. So what got you into the sales and marketing world?
My first job, so growing up 40 minutes from New York City, Wall Street, I'm a numbers guy. I love I was going to be a stockbroker. That's what you thought growing up in the 80s. And you thought that was a cool job.
Yes.
Gordon Gekko and all that good stuff. When I graduated college, I just wanted to be in the investment world. And I got a great job with a hedge fund in Greenwich, Connecticut. I didn't know what it was. I didn't care what it was. Everyone's like, I'm like, yeah, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm in a hedge fund. First year was not back office. And I earned my way over to what they called the trading desk.
Sure.
And it was sales. But if you asked me the first 3 years I was in it, I never would have said I was in sales. I didn't see it as sales. But that's what I was in. And I had a great mentor, Tony Venditti, and, Mr. Relationship. And he taught me,
right? Venditti.
Good Staten Island boy. And if he's listening, call me. We haven't talked in 20 odd years. I'd love to reconnect with you.
Tony, reach out.
First mentors.
My paisan.
Yeah, good dude. Taught me so much about relationships. And then I just, 5-6 years into it, I'm like, wait, I've been in sales my whole career.
Right.
Oh, okay. And it went from there.
So I love to hear, did you go to college for finance?
I went to college. Yeah, my degree was in finance and insurance. I was an actuary major for 2 years because I'm a numbers geek. And then I realized I talked with my hands too much during my internship with another actuary. And I was like, I can't just sit here and look at spreadsheets my whole life. So,
right.
So yeah, I went back to, I switched majors, and I mean, it doesn't matter what your major is, but we can talk about college and the waste of money that is. That's another conversation.
I'm 100% behind you. So yeah, I actually wanted to go to college. I didn't have the really good grades for it, but I played sports, but my knees were just no good. And my dad's like, I'm not paying for you to go to school to become one with a fraternity couch and a keg. That's just not going to happen. So go get a job, work your way up, earn your, then you can go to school, prove yourself. And I wanted to be in law enforcement. I thought it'd be cool to be a cop. And funny story, I was just telling you earlier, I hurt my back. Well, I hurt my back on the job. And my friend's dad owned a car dealership. And he said, dude, because I lost, overtime, I was basically on a desk duty.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nothing special. There was an alarm, and somebody propped the door open, and I went in and found it was a delivery guy, and I just moved the boxes to shut the door, and I thought the boxes were empty, and I wrenched my back. So I had to, work the desk for a while. And so I went to the car dealership, and I asked, workman's comp and everything. They're like, well, what will you be doing? He said, just filing paperwork. I'm just going to show them, paperwork, making sure everything's, on. And he taught me the car business. And I remember the used car manager, his name was Pete. I can't remember his last name. I always saw him, and I'm like, who's this guy? Why am I in a shirt and tie? And this guy's always walking around in a polo and jeans, because he was always going to the auction. And I said, Mr. Judge, I said, who's that guy? He said, that's Pete. That's my used car guy. I said, I want to be like him. He's like, all right. And so he said, Pete, take him under your wing, teach him. And I'll never forget the first used car I sold, I made more than I would make in overtime for a week.
Wow.
And I was just like, wait, that was easy. Right.
Yeah.
And so he said, all right, I want you to go get trained. He's like, you're going to leave, obviously you're going to leave your job. I said, well, I'm going to work both jobs. I'm going to work nights doing what I do, and I'm going to work at the car business dealership during the day. He's like, all right, I want you to go work at a Toyota store. He owned a Toyota store.
Yep.
He says, they will train you. Toyota is still probably the number one car dealership for training. Mm-hmm. They teach you walk arounds. They teach you how to customer, blah, 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 how to throw keys on the roof. No, don't. We never did that. And I was there. I don't even think I was there. Maybe 2 months of, worth of training and everything. And I was selling a car a day and I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just stumbling over deals. People were just buying cars, and it was fantastic. And I was getting paychecks, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then Mr. Judge brought me back over to he had he liked to call it his flagship store, which was a Oldsmobile, Chevy Geo Oldsmobile store. And he wanted me because he liked how I talked to people. I knew how to talk to clients. He always said, he's like, you're not one of them slick salesmen, He's like, I like how you talk to people, which I found quite interesting because I thought in the car business you had to be a slick salesman, but obviously not. And he brought me over there, and suddenly I'm driving a demo, and now I'm like, I'm making way more money than I ever should be making. And so I went in the car business, and I did it for almost probably 32 years.
Wow.
And I worked my way up. In 2003, I got offered a finance position. I learned the finance side. Mind you, here is a kid who didn't even know how to add with a calculator, right? But thank God for computers. But I'm meticulous when it comes to contracts.
Yeah.
And I know I know what to do and say. And I'm really, really good with customers. I can diffuse situations. A lot of people say it was because of my size. I don't think so. I just think because I know how to talk to people. You don't have to be scary to make people listen. And I learned that, and then I got on a desk job. I was a manager, and then I became a GM. And then I ran 4 stores down here, and I just worked my way up. And then I remember in 2018, I said to my wife, I had to have brain surgery. She wanted proof, and and that's our joke. Actually, the neurosurgeon was even involved in it. He came out after the surgery. He's like, well, Mrs. Zach, I just want to let you know it's brand new. It's still in the wrapper. It's got that new brain smell and everything. So, but as I was recovering, one of the side effects of brain surgery is sometimes you have a stroke, and I did. And so I was out of work I was in intensive care for like 9 weeks.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, 9 days, not 9 weeks. Thank God.
That's still wow.
I mean, yeah, but still, yeah, it was horrific. Long story short, I said, I don't want to be in car sales anymore. I was working bell to bell every day, 6 days a week. My kids were starting to call me uncle. The dogs growl at me. They didn't know who I was. And I'd put on a lot of weight, and I love the car business. I made an excellent living in it. It's just not healthy.
Yeah.
You pick up really bad habits in the car business. I was a heavy smoker. I was a heavy drinker. Luckily, I haven't had a cigarette since 2004, and I haven't had a drink since 2007. So
that's awesome.
But I walked away from it all, and I just said, you know what? I want to do something different. And I got into consulting, and I've been in sales. I'm still in sales. I work for a company because my wife is a school teacher, but she went to work for a private school, lost all her benefits, and said, okay, now you have to go get a real job. So I had to go get benefits. But here's the most important thing. You said a key word just a minute ago: relationship. I became a relationship builder.
Yep.
Matter of fact, my business card does not say salesman or sales estimator on it. My business card says project coordinator, because I tell everybody I'm with you from A to Z. I don't disappear after the sale. I don't take your money and run.
Yep.
And I believe that. I think this is a great starting point on our conversation. There is a difference between the slick salesman and a relationship builder. And I believe 100%. With the advent of the internet and AI, because we're going to touch on that too, I think everybody has learned that the snakeskin suit salesman is not the way to go anymore. No. So
there's too much research. There's too many things you can see that, if you're selling snake oil, very sooner than later, you're going to have a bunch of negative reviews on your snake oil, and then people are like, I'm never going to buy it. So it
Right.
gets stopped real fast.
Right. And I'll never forget, I was working for the Cadillac dealership. And another great sales manager name was Pete too. So here we go. The Petes are the good guys. Pete Petrosky. He was, if he's listening, hey Pete, what's up? He taught me, Zach, you can cut their heads off and make a fat paycheck and you'll never see them again. They will despise you. Or you can work with them, become their friend, and you'll sell their whole family a car.
Exactly.
And so I did. And I would sit and here's one of the, for me, and I'm sure you could probably attest to this, you find the number one salesman who's got on the same page as you are, and you put your desk right next to theirs and you listen to everything they say and suck it in osmosisly,
Yep.
And you learn the tricks of the trade. We had a guy at the Chevy store, Michael Flatley. He was the number one sales guy. He sold 28, 30 cars a month. Never took it up. He would read the obituaries on Saturday to see if he lost any customers. He would send out birthday cards, flowers. He knew everyone's customers. He knew all their kids' birthdays. He knew everything. He had one of them old school files, where he kept everybody's stuff in.
Yeah.
And every week he'd come in there Monday morning and go through it, whose birthday it is, whatever, and send out cards and everything. And he just sold cars.
Yeah.
And I never saw him get out of his desk. He never went to go greet a customer. They came to him. And I said, that's the cat I want to be. And it was just the way he did it. I call my salesmanship, and I'm maybe you can expound on it. Maybe you have a different name for it, but I call it the big teddy bear effect. When I come up, I give you the big hug and I just love on you.
Yeah.
I don't even talk about the product. 90% of the conversation has nothing to do with what you're buying for me.
No, we're emotional buyers. So
yeah,
if I product skew throw up on you and give you all the product features, at some point, I need to know them. But
sure,
if that's where you start, you've got to earn the right to sell to someone, as I like to say.
Yes.
And that goes through trust, which, this is relationship 101. I've got to earn your trust. I've got to earn your respect. I've got to show you I am credible in what I'm about to put in front of you for you to make a buying decision. So that's it. That's what you got to do. Now, it's different today than it was 5 years ago or 20 years ago, because we're getting so inundated with cold calls, text messages on LinkedIn. If you're on the B2B side, LinkedIn's a spamathon. Though I know how to use LinkedIn, and guess what? It's how I build my consulting business, with LinkedIn. So, you gotta be, as Tony said, a relationship guy. Build a relationship, get to know people. And it's not the BS, how's the weather? It's do a little research. Before I came on the show, I knew this was on my calendar for the week. So I started listening to more of the podcast you did. So I get to know you, get to know the vibe of the show. And the more I did, I'm like, I'm really excited for this. So I want to come in here and know, so I can have a conversation with you in your bum of a partner who's not here, as you said.
He's a bum. Derek, you're a bum. Sorry, guys. Derek's not here tonight. He had an emergency at work. It's something that
That's okay, Derek. It's okay. It's okay.
I just love to give him a hard time, as I call him my sidekick. He hates when I call him that, but that's all right.
So, you got to find a way to connect. I did a recent article for a Medium magazine online, and it was the 5 keys to remote selling since the pandemic.
Sure.
And one of the things I talk about is, because most selling, except for a car dealership, obviously, and some other things, is typically like you and we're on a Zoom call, right? It's not the old, I can walk into an office, shake your hand, look you in the eye, you right away get a vibe of how did he or she shake my hand?
Right.
How are they looking at me? How are they physically sitting? Body language, all that. And when you touch flesh, you start to build a relationship, good or bad, depending. If you have a coffee with someone, if you break bread with them, all the old school stuff, you got to find a way via camera to do that. Well, so it comes down to relationship. Did I do my research so I can come here knowing how to build a relationship with you, getting a vibe on your personality so that I can hopefully talk your language? That's I'm DISC certified. We can go down a rabbit hole on how do you communicate. And right, the best book ever
Oh,
created
I
when it
used to
comes to
have
that
my
is,
disc score. I wish I knew where it was.
yeah, men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yeah.
And it's saying one simple thing. Are you talking in each other's language? And,
Yeah.
I'm Myers-Briggs DISC. I'm a DISC person. That's why I got certified in a long, long time ago. I need to know your personality, how you like to hear and receive things so I can talk in your language. So now you're open to listening to me. I used to say to people, I go, when I did a lot of DISC training over the years, especially when I moved to Austin after the end of my corporate career and said I'm going to now be a coach, advisor, and all that stuff, which I've done since 2019. I go, you ever walk into out of the bedroom or your home office and get in the living room, honey, what do you want for dinner? And he or she yells at you. I
Yeah.
go, because you didn't ask in their language.
Right.
Right. So again, that big bear hug is, again, how do I know you as a person so I can hug you the right way, by the way?
And we touched on that the other night. Actually, I was talking about one of my customers, two extremes. I had one customer, we got very connected, and like literally we're swapping stories, and she started crying, just because of my passion for my life with my wife, and she wanted a hug before I left. And then I had another lady who's very sweet, timid, and if I stepped in to talk to her, she would step back, and I realized, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to invade her space.
Yeah.
I know she wants room. Let me give her room. Some people might not have picked up on that. And you got to know that stuff. And I think one of my favorite things is to find something in common with them, as I call commonality.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what, if you're not a chameleon and you don't know how to be common with somebody, then don't go into sales.
And by the way, I want to add something real fast to that. Don't be untrue to who you are as a person. That's not what you're saying there.
No.
But the chameleon is to match their energy, match their, mirror them.
What's it called? NLP or whatever.
What? Say that again.
What is it? NLP, where you read linguistics, whatever. I forget what it stands for, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like if I'm sitting in my office down here in Florida, as you know, in Texas, you get a good old boy come in and he just wants to talk to you for a little while. We just slide right into that accent real quick.
Yeah.
And then they don't even know that you're doing it.
Yeah.
I've never been told, are you making fun of me? No, man. I'm now talking their language.
Yes.
Or I mean, it's really funny. My wife hates it, but if I run into somebody from Jersey and we start talking,
how you doing?
I slip right back into my Jersey accent. And it's like we're old bros from Seaside back in the day. We hung out down the shore together.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to get rid of my Jersey accent, especially since I do voice work and I was in radio for a while. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want. Actually, that's what I ended up going to school for. I wanted to be a radio personality. And then I realized that they don't pay squat. But, and so they told me, man, nobody wants to hear a Jersey accent here in Florida, but now we're South Jersey, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go a little southern, it's southern New York and Jersey, down more towards Fort Lauderdale, as they say.
Exactly.
But so have you seen, now this is something that I found very interesting. In the South, and maybe it's Florida, because Florida's a lot more transient than anywhere else I'm used to living.
Yeah.
Like in Jersey, I grew up with the same kids. We went through kindergarten through 12th grade together, same school, same everything. Unless you had that weird kid who moved in the middle of the 6th grade year and then he becomes your best friend. He's from Texas. Anyway, that's my buddy Billy. Or someone, parents get transferred or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, I went to school and I'm still friends with them on Facebook and I've known them for, 50 years, right? Yeah. Down here, like the family and loyalty just is not as tight as it is up north. Like when
it is in Texas. It is in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a Florida thing, I think. In Texas. Oh, very, very welcoming. They'll bring in a stranger, which is great, as and you get an opportunity to earn an invite back. And if you do, you're family now. But no, very tight family community here. And family it's not defined as blood. It's defined as, who's going to battle with me?
Okay.
Who do I want to have barbecue with? Who do I want to hang out with? That's
sadly something that is kind of, it's tough in the industry down here. I learned, somebody will go buy a car because the guy underbid you by $5. You're just like, what are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy was a jerk off, but he gave me a better deal. What, for $5? Whatever. When I buy a car, me and my wife we just recently got our cars, and we went to the same dealership, same guy for everything. And because this guy treated us like family.
Yeah.
And I knew even if he made money on me, it didn't really bother me. I mean, I was in the game. I know how to, I know the game, and I just feel one of the things that I loved, the thing I loved about up north, and I don't miss the cold. I miss the food. I miss my friends. But the thing I really liked about it was you knew where you stood with somebody. If they thought you were a jerk off, but they liked you, they would let you know real quick.
Yeah.
You know what? You're a jerk off and you're for saying that, and I don't appreciate it, but I'm still going to buy from you because you're treating me right.
Yeah.
And there was many cars I sold that way too. I mean, I had guys, I worked for a luxury dealership in 05. I went back home after my father passed away to help my mom. And my friend's mom owned a Saab BMW store. So it was really close to the city. And everybody bought the Saabs they called them the train cars. They would drive from their house to the train station, and they'd have no miles on them. It was the most ridiculous thing. You get a trade-in 3 years old with 1,200 miles on it. You're like, what did you do? Nothing. So, but I get these guys. I'll never forget this one guy. He was a big time commercial real estate guy in New York City. Like, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, I saw his credit report. I know how much he made, and it was mind boggling. And he actually, after the deal was all said and done, offered me to come mentorship under him to learn how to know the business. But I had to move back to Florida for my kids. But he was one of those guys when we negotiated, we got into the negotiation. I said, all right, I got to play hardball with this guy. I'm going to have to. I can't use the teddy bear effect on him because now I know who he is. And I'll never forget when I came out with the numbers, I spun around and I just stared at him. And we must have sat for a good almost 3 minutes staring at each other. And he literally was like, all right, F you win. And he signed it. I was just like, holy crap. He's like, he goes, you're a jerk off. Everybody's jersey says jerk off. He's like, you're a jerk off for that. I go, what? Because I sold you a car that you wanted? He's like, yeah, whatever. I go, here, look, you get keychains. He goes, you give them to everybody. I go, all right, but I'm giving you keychains. So, deal with it.
Let me get you another coffee.
Yeah. The toughest guy I ever dealt with. And I know it is I don't know if it's their nationality, their upbringing, their what. He was a broker for the Hasidic Jew community, the Hasidic Jewish community.
I know the Hasidic Jews won't deal with Finkelstein. You better know how to negotiate.
Yeah. The Hasidics won't deal with us. What do they call us? Goyas or whatever we're called, or Goyams or whatever that, we're non-Jews. And so he was a broker for us. And I'd give him the same freaking deal every time he bought a car. And he'd be like, Zach, why are you breaking my balls? I'm like, dude, I gave you the freaking same deal, And he was hardcore, like, but he would laugh and he was always cool at the end. There was no animosity. He knew it was the heat. It was the battle. Yeah, it was the battle. But I was just like, I kind of miss that kind of excitement because we don't really have that down here. Everybody wants to negotiate, but really nobody knows how to negotiate. I mean, you don't know how to look unless you dealt with a Hasidic Jew broker. You don't know how to negotiate. I don't care who you are. That guy will cut your throat without even and smile at you when he's giving you matzo ball soup, right? And and it was just so funny. Funny story. Finkelstein, obviously, I can tell. Good German name, right?
Yes.
Good Irish name. No, I was adopted, and my mother was convinced. She saw the paperwork with my birth name on it, and it was Baumgartner. So she was convinced I was Jewish. She had me bar mitzvahed, everything. She's like, we're not missing out. We're touch ancestor. I do my DNA. Not a drop. Actually, I'm French. It's Beau Richard or something like that.
That's what I mean. By the last name, I agree with your mom.
Yeah, but that was the wrong. She saw the wrong paperwork. It wasn't even my last name. She just assumed. And so all this, I went through it. I grew up.
O'Reilly.
I grew up a very strict Christian home, but my mom has had such a passion she passed away last year, but my mom
Sorry.
had such a passion for Israel and the
Yep.
Jewish community, and so she was convinced I was Jewish, so I had to get bar mitzvah. So there we go. So I've been bar mitzvah. It
Mazel tov.
it didn't mean anything. I said, do we celebrate Hanukkah now and Christmas? Do I get gifts all day long? My dad's like,
That's what my kids. I married a Christian woman, so my kids we did half Hanukkah, half and half Christmas.
so they call it, what's that, Chanukah or
there's various versions of that.
or whatever. Yeah,
Christmaka. My oldest, who's 32, is technically my stepson. I met him when he was 4. And I remember the first time he celebrated Hanukkah, and my wife at the time was like, "You got to give him 8 nights." I'm like, "I haven't had 8 nights in forever." She goes, "You got to give him 8 nights. He's 5 years old." I'm like, "Okay." And like on the 5th night, he's like, "More?" He's like, "Mom, I want to be Jewish." And that's how I got my oldest son to fall in love with me when he was 5 and say, "All right, Mom, you can marry this guy."
did you grow up Jewish, going to synagogue? And
yeah, we grew up conservative, which we celebrate Hanukkah. We went to temple for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, in anyone's bar mitzvah or wedding, and that was it.
Right, which is most of the kids I went to high school and grade school with, whatever, who were Jewish, same thing. They went to the holy holidays and bar mitzvah.
My mom did make us change the dishes on Passover every year. Oh, my brothers and I were like, even my dad was like, "Carol," and she's like, "We got to teach them." And they both my parents grew up Orthodox up in Boston, very in all. My dad grew up in a Jewish ghetto out in Boston. I mean, that way back then, and my dad would always try to figure out after the 2 seders a business trip to get out of the house for a few days during Passover.
We actually, I go to a non-denominational Christian church, and there was we call him a Messianic Jew who was a converted, and we used to call him Rabbi because he studied rabbinical. He was in the rabbinical studies, and so one year we did a Seder dinner to celebrate, and it was cool. I mean, man, we cooked a lot of chicken. Good Lord.
A lot of chicken soup. I have my mom's recipe. I make good matzo balls.
There you go.
I make a good. So it's funny. I did last year. My youngest, who's 24 and was bar mitzvah. He last year for some reason goes, "Dad, we doing Passover?" I was like, "Huh?" And I really don't. I mean, God's front and center for me, but religion's not. And I was like,
right.
And I'm like, I kind of looked up. My mom passed a few years ago. I kind of looked up. I go, "Really?" I go, "Fine, we'll do Passover." So Jewish brisket, and I live in Texas, and we had about 11 people at the Seder dinner, and 2.5 of us were Jewish because my son's half, and then one of my friends, or 3.5 of us were Jewish. And so I'm like, "This is Jewish brisket. Like, what are you guys cooking?" I go, "There's going to be brisket." They're like, and I'm like, "Not Texas brisket," and they liked it. They're like, "The Texans like, this is pretty good stuff. You got to make this again."
Right. That's pretty awesome. I mean, it's just so funny. And look, not for nothing, there's my jersey coming out, but there is nothing better than a Jewish deli on the planet.
Nothing, especially if they'll put cheese on the sandwich. Sorry, but
yeah, well, that's a sin. But I think you can't even celebrate Shabbat. Then you're in trouble. I mean, let me tell you, we used to go to Katz's in New York.
Oh yeah.
In Jersey, we had Harold's New York Deli, and you get a pastrami sandwich that is 3 pounds of meat, and you're like, you pass out because that's why they call it Passover, because they have to pass over you because you just fell on the floor. No, actually, I was just actually doing a study on Passover. I was teaching on the Last Supper, and they were doing it during Passover, and people were like, "Why do they call it Passover?" And I had to explain. It would go back to Egypt when they put the blood on the door, so the angel of death passes over, and so they found that very interesting. And so it was. So you grew up in the North.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into consulting? What made you go, okay, I'm done with the career. I want to be a consultant. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. Is it your business? Are you under somebody? Let's expand on that.
It's my business. Sales Scalers is my business. I created. So in April of 2019, I was chief revenue officer for a company called PeopleFacts. I was there for 18 months. Originally, as private equity owned. I was supposed to be there for 5 years, grow from 8 to 134 million. Here's your equity. We all sell, kumbaya, go retire. Awesome. I grew it from 8 to 20 million in 18 months, and they go, "Wow, this is awesome." And they sold it. And so I sat there and I'm like, what do I do now in April 2019? And I said, I've been working my butt off for my whole life and always was a corporate guy. Like, it's just how I was raised.
Yeah.
My son was in his senior year of high school. He was a baseball player pursuing dreams to 6'5", right-handed pitcher throwing 90. And I go, I'm going to watch baseball. So for 2.5 months, I just watched baseball every day. It was maybe the best 2.5 months of my life. And at the same time, I wasn't looking for a job. Like I wasn't full on, but and I said, what do I want to do with my life? I've done this. I've made a lot of money for a lot of people. And I've always, had great mentors and coaches in my life. I've always been purpose driven. How can I help my fellow man and that type of stuff? And I had an offer to be chief revenue officer for a software company in Utah.
Yeah.
And during that process, I kept running into this franchise for business coaching. And every time I said no, I felt like there was a tap. No, come here from God. Come here, come here. And literally 2 days before I was moving to Utah, my youngest had just graduated. He was going to do a gap year. So he's with my mom. And my oldest lived down the road. And they came over on a Thursday. And I was driving to Utah on a Saturday. And my mom, I'm packing. I got my head buried up my ass in a suitcase. And my mom's like, the boys are here. You need to talk to them. I'm like, I go, we're all going out to dinner. I could go away. And she goes, you need to talk to your boys. I'm like, shh. So I come on out of the room because I'd already moved out of my house because I knew I was moving. So I was staying at my mom's. And she hands me a glass of wine. I go, oh, it's that conversation. And the boys sat there. They go, Dad, you always told us to go for it in life. Big dreams. We have a saying in my family with my kids, embrace failure. Make your dreams so big that the world laughs at you and let's go figure out how to do it. Knowing we might fail. It's how I've always coached my sales teams too, by the way.
Yeah.
And they said, you've taught us to go for it, but why are you being, and I won't use the word, I'll just say wimp instead, and taking the cushy job in Utah? I was like, huh? I mean, it's like, and then it started dawning on me and they said, you said you wanted to be a coach at some point. You got this opportunity. Why aren't you doing it? And then I kind of looked up. I go, oh, sledgehammer, no longer a tap. Okay. And obviously an emotional.
Way to send the kids in. All right. Yeah, I get it.
And obviously emotional, as you can say, when your kids become the teacher to you, and it's beautiful when you're proud of them when it happens. And so the next morning I called Austin and said, I'm coming here. And I, opened my business. I called Utah and said, I'm not coming. And at the same time, when I was driving out here, 2-day drive from California then to Austin, I set a goal, just 2 days on the road by myself, my music, Audible books, and just a lot of put the windows down and just not hear anything. And I set a goal. I want to positively affect 1 million lives. And I said, wow, that's an interesting goal. I do these things, my higher self talks to me. I'm into all that stuff. And then afterwards I'm like, okay, now let's break that down. I said it, and I go, well, I'm going into coaching. So I'm going to start helping people. And, if you help one person, some people are like, well, that's an arbitrary goal. How do you do it? I go, well, if you help one person, I'm not just helping one person. That person goes home. They've got probably on average 2 to 3 people around them. How am I helping them? If I go into a small business, which has always been my focus in the coaching and consulting and micro business, one of my first clients is a CPA firm here, and she has since grown from 8 to 20 people because I coached her for 3 years. I don't coach her anymore. She'll reach out to me now. We're going for happy hour next week. We haven't seen each other in a while. She'll ask me some questions and we'll get together. She's my CPA too. She's a friend. I helped her more than double the amount of families she feeds, right? As a business owner, we feed families via the paycheck.
Right.
So, and how many, so, I mean, that's how you do it. You connect the dots that way. And then 3 years ago, I had an idea for myworkout.ai, which is a health and wellness company I'm building. And I added a 0 to it. Now it's at 10 million. And I've always been someone who wants to help others. That's how I was raised. My mom always had a stranger at the holiday dinner, someone who just started working in the office who moved to Stanford, or whatever. Part of it was to show the Jewish holidays. Then for Thanksgiving was to just, there's always going to be 3 or 4 people that had no other place to go. Weren't
Yes.
necessarily best friends or family, but my mom's like, I always make too much food. Come on, we can find another seat for you. And so it's in me. That's how I raise my kids. And I just, why do I like to go on all these podcasts now? Because we're going to help people, right? What you're doing is a mitzvah. We'll use that word. People are going to, whether it's in sales, we're talking a lot of life stuff. It's going to resonate with more than one person, and it's going to help them. And if you can help one person feel better about themselves, there's an energy inside of us, is my belief. And they will either knowingly share a better energy, or even just unknowingly, they smile when they walk into Starbucks or 7-Eleven or wherever, versus have a frown on their face, which means now the person who's serving you or at the restaurant, you don't look like you're pissed off at the world, which means even if you're at neutral, you're not affecting them. And if you're at a positive energy, it rubs off on people without them even knowing it. And that's just how I live my life. And so when I set that goal of 1 million, everything I do now, business and personal, is this under one thing? Is it going to help me positively affect 10 million lives? And if the answer is no, except for me going to UT basketball stuff because I love it, and that just brings me joy. So I guess that my energy raises. Well,
Sure.
We lost last night though, but does it fit under that goal? That's my guiding light now. That's my compass, my North Star.
So when you set a goal like that, which is an amazing goal, what was it? Barnum and Bailey said, shoot for the moon and hope you hit a star.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself laser focused on that goal? Because look, when I do a little short side podcast, or I don't even call it a podcast, it's just shorts. It's called Authentically Yours. And I just out in the backyard. I'm a big cigar guy, and I like to have a cigar, and I just talk. I do 3 minutes or less because that's the algorithm right now on Facebook and Instagram and all that. I've learned it. And one of the things I talked about was learning to hear the frequency versus the noise. So when you have a lofty goal like that, which I would consider that lofty, because look, I've been told I got quite an ego, which is fine. I don't care. I'm just Zach. That's who I am, and if you think my friends used to joke with me. They're like, you're not conceited, you're convinced. Thank you.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, my dad taught me to be proud. He said there's a fine line of walking between pride and being a jerk.
100%.
Learn to find that line and be proud of you, who you are, what you've done, but don't be a jerk.
Yep.
So I had to learn that because there was time. Yeah, I've been a jerk, whatever.
Sure.
But that's a lofty goal. And for me to go, I'd like to reach 1 million people, right? Because right now I'm trying to hit 10,000 on my YouTube channel. That's my right now. That's my goal. I think that's rather lofty. Would I like 100,000? Would I like 1.2 million subscribers? Of course. That puts a lot of pressure on you, though. So how do you keep yourself laser focused and don't let you succumb to the pressure? Because all right, what if I don't hit the million or the 10 million, or what if I'm not doing the right thing and I screw somebody up? Something like that. I mean, how do you stay focused on the frequency versus the noise?
I accept your last comment. I'm going to screw something up, which means I'm going to affect someone negatively. That's just life. And so when you do it, you recognize it, you apologize, you do your best to fix what you can fix and ask for forgiveness, and they will or won't. That's up to them, and you respect that. It's not pressure for me because it's my purpose.
Okay.
And for me, it's that simple. This is my purpose. This is who I am. This is the core of my being, my soul, my heart. And so it's just how I want to live my life. So the goal is important because it's my compass that points north in what I do.
Okay.
And so therefore, and it's, we're 6.5 years into this goal. I don't know if I'll reach it. I mean, I don't know because,
Well, how can you track that?
well, my fitness app does things and I have 10 million people who end up using it when we launch it this
Okay.
summer and go from there. Then I can,
Obviously,
that's an easy
that
way to
one's
say, hey, I
trackable.
believe I'm
Yeah, yeah.
positively affecting 10 million lives in health and wellness. Great.
Sure.
And I hope we do that. But the original goal, let's stick to that, is it's so I don't care. I don't need to track it as long as I know every day when I look in the mirror, when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning and at night when I go to bed, that I lived today trying to add another person to it. It's up to God. This is how I believe. It's up to God if I reach that number goal or not. Will He put me in front of opportunities? And He does. I remember in the beginning, I got an opportunity to teach some CE online website for CEs, for CPAs. Said, hey, will you do some of your workshops for sales? I'm like, sure. They get credits for it. And I did a couple where I had like 20 people, 50 people, 5 people show up. Then all of a sudden I did one on time management and over 2,000 people registered.
Nice.
I know that workshop on time management is a game changer for lives, not business, lives. And simple stuff that we just, but so I could say 2,000 people showed up, which was real, felt great. I mean, as you can imagine, that's 2,000 lives times my 2.5. So now that's 5,000 lives.
Yep.
So sometimes you can put the number on it, but a lot of times it's just, did you smile? Did you smile at someone? Did you just try to, one of the examples I always use is a few years ago, I was in line. It's 5 o'clock at it was at the gas station convenience store. Got my big Diet Coke in my hand and a bag of chips because it's one of those days. And I'm like, I earned this. And it was a long line, 15 people, because everyone's
Sure.
getting off work and all that. And this guy just starts yelling at the girl. And you could see the look on her face. She was, younger girl. You could see the look on her face of just from happy to, I want to crawl up in a hole and leave and die.
Yeah.
And he just was a jerk. And maybe he was going through stuff. I don't know what his day was like, so I'm not going to judge him. But as soon as I was walking up my 5-6 steps in my mind, I was like, I'm going to make her smile. I'm going to find a way to make her smile. And walked up and I said something to the line. I'm like, I promise I'm not going to yell at you if you just, give me my Diet Coke for the $2 it's going to cost. And she kind of looked at me and smirked. I go, it's not your fault, right? And I went there. I went and kind of put my dad hat on, I guess. She goes, I know. I go, some people have a bad day, but you're moving this line fast because I thought I'd be here another 5 minutes before I got up here. So thank you. And that's all I said to her. And she smiled and she said, thank you. And as I started walking towards the door, I could hear her say hi to the next person with a smile,
Right.
smile in her voice. And so again, how can we all do that? The old, pay it forward. I know, listen, this stuff can be corny to some people, but the corny stuff is important. If we all just got back to doing these little things the way grandma and mom and dad raised us,
Yes.
and stop looking at our phones and actually put your phone down and talk to people and say hi, smile. I lived in California for 11 years. You didn't walk down the street and smile at someone. People thought you were weird. In Texas and in New York, I'll say it in New York City. If you're walking down, you catch someone's eye, there'll be a head nod. There'll be maybe a smirk or smile, whatever. Or
Right.
And right now, the 2 feet of snow, it's like a look of, God, it's cold out. Why are we out here?
Yeah.
But it's a recognition of humanity.
Absolutely. I'll never forget when I moved to Texas. I was walking down the street with my ex-wife, and this big old cowboy's coming down the sidewalk. He steps off, tips his hat, and says, "Ma'am." And my jersey automatically kicks in. Like, who's this? Who are you talking to? But
Don't be talking to my wife,
right? And my wife's like, "Honey," she's like, "That's how they do it down here." He was just being friendly, and I was like, "Oh." And now I'm quite the opposite. I'm the guy who I say hi to everybody. I smile at everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're going through. You could be the crazy homeless person at the gas station, as long as you're not coming up trying to bum money off me, because then I'm going to just tell you to go away. I'm sorry. I'm look, there's certain lines I draw, but and you know what? I'm lying, because I one morning I saw a guy getting tossed out of the McDonald's because he was homeless, and the manager was just being just a prick. And so I bought an extra breakfast and I sat down with the guy outside at a parking bench and we had breakfast together.
Yeah.
And, you
I
know,
had a great conversation too, I bet.
we did. And first thing he's asked me, he's like, "Why'd you do that?" I said, "Because nobody deserves to be treated like you got treated. I don't care. Were you robbing the joint? Did you do something inside you shouldn't have?" "No, sir. I just wanted a cup of coffee." I said, "Okay, then no."
Yeah.
And if the manager comes out here and says something, trust and believe. He's not going to like what I'm going to have to say. So, you know, and my wife still jokes because she's like, "You've never met a stranger, have you?" And, you know, look, I'm one of those strange oddities. I am so sanguine that I'm overboard sanguine. Like, I'm very outgoing. I'm very high strung. I have, as Derek likes to call it, shiny object syndrome. I get distracted very easily, but that's just my personality and I have fun with it. So when we're at Publix, you know, shopping, where shopping's a pleasure. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I don't get paid for that, so I shouldn't be advertising.
No, you got to have to delete that. They haven't paid
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, pay me, Publix. I used you guys. No, but when I'm in there, I make the girls laugh. I told my wife, I said, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I walk past the pharmacy and everybody's like, "Hey, Mr. Zach, how are you?" And I'm like, that's bad that they all know my name, or is it good? I don't know. You know,
it's both.
I mean, I said the pharmacist. I work in the fence industry right now. I work for a fence company. Been with them for 4 years, and I sold the pharmacist her fence. So I mean, they kind of know me from that too.
Okay.
So I'm not a big drug addict, you know, or a big pill head. And you know, I think, as I've said this a million times, you never know what someone's going through. And that smile on your face, you just might have stopped them from ending their life.
Yeah.
Now, I'm also hardcore when it comes to certain situations. I used to think for the longest time there was not a drop of empathy in me until I really learned what empathy was. And maybe I'm not sympathetic, because for me, sympathy is when my dad used to say you find it in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. But sympathy to me is where you lay down in the mud with them and you don't get up and you don't fix the problem. Empathy is you can get down there, you get dirty, but you're going to help them out. So maybe I am empathetic.
Yeah.
I have compassion. I know that for a fact. But look, if someone's going through it, dude, we've all been through it. I don't woe is me with them. Right? So there are times where someone wants to start boohooing. "Oh, life is terrible. I'm going to kill myself." All right. Are you done? Because obviously you haven't killed yourself. So let's go.
Yeah.
I don't have time for you.
How can I help you take the first step from where you're at right now?
Either
I recognize where you're at,
or better in yourself. Whichever way you want to go, let me know. I'll open the window for you, so I don't have to hear you crying anymore. No, it's terrible. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. I take that.
No, my kids in my close circle. No, I will go get in the mud with you. I will, you know, the old adage. I will drive all the way to the center of hell and find you, give you a hug, allow you to cry for one more minute, and then I'm like, okay, grab my hand, let's go. How are we getting out of here together?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
My mentor, who's he's been on the show a couple times. He's also one of my best friends. Tells me all the time. He's like, "Dude, you are the most compassionate, empathetic person I know." He's like, "So stop saying you're not empathetic." He's like, "You're no longer in Jersey. You don't got to be a tough guy anymore." All right. And I'm like, I was never a tough guy, but you know, it is what it is. I guess it's the bravado, that attitude, of that Northeastern attitude.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're still, you know what? Again, not to brag on the Northeast. One of the greatest things is, you know, holidays, when you get together with the family and everybody comes around. You could hate somebody and you see him at Christmas time and then you're buddies again. And it's, you know, everybody's giving hugs and, you know, then you go back to work and you want to punch him in the face again, but whatever. It is what it is. You know, I do miss that. But you know, it's, I think in sales, and maybe we could touch on this a little bit. I think you become a little calloused to people's problems because it's always about money. First, that's all you hear. And you become a little hardened to it, to where you don't really give a crap. I don't care how poor you are. If you called me to come out here to give you an estimate, you want this. So why are you blasting me? Because it's more than you think you can afford.
Yeah.
And so I had to get in that mindset. All right. Because if you show empathy or sympathy when they're doing that, then you're like, "Oh, I guess you're poor. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You're never going to make a sale." You got to find their selling point, I guess. And maybe maybe that's the fine line I'm learning to walk as a human versus being a salesperson. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that when it comes to that? Because
Yeah,
there's you got to go through what? It's 7 no's to get a yes, I guess.
something like that. Yeah.
Zig Ziglar said that, or somebody like that
Yeah.
said that? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple pieces to that. Some people, to your point, get so callous and so numb to it, they should stop being in sales.
Right.
And if someone's feeling that, I'm not judging you. It just, you need to reevaluate, is sales where you should be if you're at that point? And hopefully you say, I'm at that point. Why did I get to this point in my sales career? And can I shift back? Right.
Right.
But for a lot of people, it's to your point, listen, if you're in sales, I'm grinding, I'm trying to get it out, I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to provide for myself, my family, whatever it is, and someone's telling me they can't afford it. You need to know how to respond to that. Why, are they not affording it because they truly don't have the money? And sometimes you just have to say, hey, John, Jane, I appreciate that. I wish I could do better, a lower price for you, but here, this is the best I can do. I'm sorry I can't help you. If I can refer someone who can do it at a lower price, I'll refer them. Otherwise, I'll just wish them luck and walk away. And that's okay. Because that means now I have time to go find the next yes.
Funny you said sorry, because I was taught never to say sorry.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I will say, no, I've given you the best deal I can. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
We are what we are. We're the best, and that's how you got to pay for the best. I've used that analogy.
Well, so that was going into the next thing is, if they are saying they can't afford it, well, what can't they afford? Means, as a salesperson, did I show them enough value for what they're paying for?
Right.
If I don't show them the value of this $100 widget, $10,000 widget, whatever it is, $1 million widget,
right,
every price is going to be too high. I'm selling them a solution. Fencing is a solution. Keep my dog in so I can let the dog out and not have to worry about it. Yeah. Keep people out, whatever it is. There's an ROI on that cost, that investment. Actually, I hate using the word cost. Investment, caught myself. So if you can understand why they're saying all the negative things, instead of being callous to it and numb to it, use it as an opportunity to say, well, hold on a second. How do I shift their energy? I sell through energy. That's a part of me. I'm a Cancer. I'm a data geek. I'm a data geek who wears his heart on his sleeve. That's me. And so again, where in the conversation are you going? And they can't afford it. Okay, well, because they truly don't have budget, whether it's a B2C or B2B, or is it you haven't shown me enough value to think it's worth it?
100.
That's the first place I go. So instead of the emotional of just shutting it down, or I'm tired of people telling me they can't afford it, I go to two things. They truly can't afford it? And if so, shake their hand, wish them luck, and move on. Or is it, I haven't done a good job of showing them it's worth this?
Right. Yeah. And and of course, I know how to get over.
I know you do.
Yeah. I don't ever let price be an object, unless, look, I mean, I have gone out to people's houses who've lived in the same house for 50 years. They bought a fence 25 years ago and they think it's going to be the same price. Oh, we only paid $1,500. Well, it's $15,000 now. Do you not see that we've grown
inflation
in 25 years, But, whatever it might be. There is sticker shock, and you just have to bring them down, as we used to say in the car business, peel them off the ceiling and, bring them back to life.
Yeah.
But, you can do it in such ways where you don't come across calloused, even though I think I am a little calloused to hearing it, that I don't pay attention to it anymore. I know they're going to say it. I know the neighborhoods I work in. I know. Here's the funny thing. I can be in the $1 million neighborhoods and they're cheaper in their pocketbook than when I'm working in the lower class neighborhoods. It's really funny.
It's true.
I was in a pretty bad neighborhood. Well, I run all the bad neighborhoods. They think it's funny. They send me to the bad neighborhood. The big white guy, let him go out there. And this guy actually asked me, he said, Mr. Zach, he said, he's a Vietnam veteran, older black guy, sweet as pie, nicest guy. And he said, does it scare you to come down here in a hood? I said, should it? He said, no. I said, okay, then I'm not. He goes, well, I want to tell you why. I said, why? He goes, the mailman, the fence man, and the bug man. We love all three of y'all because the mailman brings the checks, the fence man keeps the jitterbugs out, and the bug man keeps the bugs away. He said, nobody gonna ever bother you here. And and it's true. I sell fences in the bad neighborhoods more than I sell anywhere else. They love me there. They'll come out of their house, they'll see me measure, and they'll be like, hey, can I get your business card? You know, it's just, it's so funny because to them, it may be a status thing, it may be a security thing. But then you go in these $1 million neighborhoods, and I've literally been in like where Shaq used to live, where the houses are $20 million, you know, and they're arguing with me because, I don't know that I really need it. It's just, you know, it's just a fence, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, you called me. You don't have to sell me on why you don't need it. I actually said that to somebody. I said, you don't got to sell me why you don't want to buy it. Just tell me you don't want to buy it. Then they, you know, normally I get a laugh out of them, you know.
Yeah.
I know I'm in trouble. If I can't get somebody to laugh, I'm like, all right, this guy's a super introvert or an engineer, and then I'm screwed. I can't sell to them. But I just find it really funny because you have to learn the mindset. So as I tell everybody when I am sales training, and you know the biggest joke about a sales trainer is, and it's no offense to you, but a sales trainer is a salesman who failed. He can't sell, so they bump him to sales trainer.
Some people coach, some people play.
That's right. Yes. That's why I always say, they're like, Zach, you'd be such a great sales trainer. I said, no. Yes, I'd get lazy, but that's all right. But it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. I don't care if you make, and I said this last week, I don't care if you make $700 million a year or $700 a year. You have something that you need, and I'm going to show you what you need and how I'm going to help you with it. And we're going to figure it out, you know, and your money's green. That's how I learned that a long time ago.
Yep.
People always ask me when I was in the car business, oh, dude, you've driven Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces and blah, blah. What's your favorite car? I said, the one that I make the most money on, because they're all iron sleds. I could freaking care less. Now I'm lying because I actually drive my favorite truck I have out in the, well, it's one of my favorite trucks, but I have one of my dream trucks I got. I was able to get a Raptor, and my favorite car though, hands down, would be a Bentley Continental. I don't know why. I just drove it. I just fell in love with it. But to me, look, if someone walked up to my front door right now and said, dude, I'll give you 70 grand for that truck right now, I'd be like, show me the money. Yeah, my wife would be like, what are you doing? I'll be like, I'll go buy another one. What do I care? You know, it is what it is. But you know, that's the mindset of the mentality. But so I want to switch gears for a second. We've talked about sales.
Yep.
We've talked about empathy, compassion, very important in sales.
Yep.
Wearing your heart on your sleeve, I think, is very important. It shows the true you, because I think it's not like the back in the day. When I got into car business, it's a totally different world right now.
Yeah.
Totally different world. Do you think with the advent, and I asked, we had a psychologist he works in sales and marketing. He does the psychology of sales and marketing. So
I listened to that. I listened to parts of that.
Yeah, Dr. Chris. I said, so you teach people how to buy because you're screwing them. I get it. Okay. You know, you mind deaf them. They're buying. Okay. He laughed because he knows I know the game. But I said to him, I said, with the advent of AI and the internet, do I have to tone my sales down because people are so educated and they can just go to ChatGPT and say, is this guy telling me the truth or not? Or do I still need to have, you know, a couple tools in my tool belt that I save for at the end? I whap out that ace and they're not ready for it. I mean, because I really feel the internet is a godsend, and it can be. When it first came out, us car guys hated it because everybody could go look at invoice.
I've got my KBB price. Here's what I want for my trade-in. I'm that jerk who's done that to you, by the way, many a times in the last 10 years.
I'd be like, so you want top dollar for your piece of crap, and then you want to pay me bottom dollar for my diamond. I get it. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So we're going to go wholesale to wholesale, or we'll go retail to retail. You decide.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I mean, because I think I would be, and I've threatened to do it. I'd be a good coach. I'd be a good trainer. I would love to do it. I mean, I would love to do podcasting full time. I was interviewed, and we'll get back to the question, but I was interviewed on another show this week, and they asked me why I podcast, and because I have an ego. I like hearing myself talk. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's nothing to lie about it. I enjoy it. I have fun when I crack the mic. It makes my mind. That's how my mind works.
Yeah.
I don't, like I told you before we started the show, I don't really prep for shows. I fly by the seat of my pants and I have fun with it, and we enjoy it, right?
Which is why it's a great energy I think we have going here, and we're having fun, we're laughing, and but we're sharing stuff people can use.
Yeah. And so when you're training someone, coaching, building, helping, whatever it might be, does that the internet or ChatGPT or AI which is now we're in quantum and we're going to jump into quantum, and everything. I mean, does that scare you as a salesperson? Because somebody can go, I'll just go learn on, I'll go watch Dr. YouTube, or I'll just go ask ChatGPT. I mean, how do we get around that? Other than the fact we still have souls and personality.
You got to the punchline. AI, when used properly, enhances our humanity. So we have to sell differently. You're right. People walk into your proverbial store, whatever you're selling, a product or service, direct to consumer, B2B, whatever it may be. They are informed, especially with AI, well beyond any Google search. Now you got AI who's going to tell you what the function and features are, something, and tell you, here's 5 comparisons and here's this, blah, blah, blah. And then even on Amazon, it will do it for you before you on the one thing. Which means people, in my opinion, are dying for human connection. So now in your sales process, I don't have to feature dump on you because you already know it. But if I do a great job in the beginning, and here's where it's more important now, of getting to know Zach, what matters to you, related to what I'm selling you, service or widget, that now I can just talk instead of saying, well, it has this fancy little thing here and you press this button there, and instead talk about, I've shown you I'm interested in you, right? One of the old adages, don't be interesting, be interested in sales. I want to know you're interested in me, not you just being interesting and look at me. I don't want your ego if I'm trying to buy something from you.
Right.
So now I'm going to show I'm interested in you, genuinely interested, which is how I've been successful and sold over $6 billion in my career, because I've always taken the time to get to know the person. And you can do that in 2 minutes, enough at least, versus, of someone. And now instead of having a feature dump on, throw up on you, I can talk about, well, Zach, you talk about your back's been bothering you. And did you know our seats are built, we'll go to cars, are built in a manner that, is there a stat that says our customers say reduces back pain by 30%? Maybe there's a stat out there. Or how can I at least relate it to knowing that you have your back's been bothering you and how it does? So instead of just saying what the feature is, I now show you how it's going to improve your life or the outcome you're trying to see. And again, that's human. I'm connecting with you. I'm connecting with you. So you've got to get much better at that than being able to say, look at this demo. Oh my God, I spent the last 15 years in the SaaS world. Demo, shoot me with another freaking demo. In the last company I was interim CRO for 2 years ago, a friend asked me to come in to someone who's trying to sell their company. I'm like, the first thing I did, I listened to these demos and it was just feature dump. And this was only 3 years ago. I left them 2 to 3 years ago. And I said, guys, stop. If you've booked an hour call, the first 20 minutes is, the first 5 minutes is get to, how's the wife and kids and blah, 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 but don't be that corny with it. And then it's discovery. Ask questions. Simon Sinek, one of the people I love following, starts with why is a big part of my philosophy and how I live my life and how I sell. He goes, it's not just about asking questions. You've got to ask the right questions, because whatever you ask, you'll get answers to. And
Yes.
in my book, Kaching, which went out 3 years ago, one of the chapters is great salespeople ask great questions. So if I start in our interaction asking great questions, what's a great question, Scott? We can go along on that rabbit hole, but a question that's going to allow me to get to know you. In people are always willing to give you surface level answers. The great question is not the first question. The first question is important because it's going to lead me down. I want to poke and see where there might be a little salt here on a wound, but then I want to see how deep that wound is. So what are the follow-up 2 to 3 questions? Those are the great questions, because then I get to root cause, root reason why you're here buying a car today, why you think you want a truck versus a convertible, why you want this SaaS product, what's it, if you already have one, why are you talking to me? What don't
Right.
right? So if you do all that stuff, that stuff's more important, because they have the details. They know you can do it in 5 different colors and these sizes and blah blah blah. Great. As a salesperson, I don't have to give you that crap anymore, and I can just build a relationship in 2 minutes or 2 hours, whatever I got with you, and show you how those features connect to emotionally to you, instead of trying to explain what a feature is.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love selling today. I love it, because I'm not selling, I'm building relationships and I'm solving problems.
And I asked the question only because I kind of knew the answer, because I'm a relationship builder.
Mm-hmm.
I love my customers.
Yeah.
I joke all the time. I want to get out of sales. I would like to do coaching, or I looked actually into doing public speaking,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something that's kind of it tugs on me. I really, again, I think it's an ego thing, and I have to be very cautious, because I know what I can turn into, and I won't allow myself to do that.
Yeah, but if you know that, then you already put the buffers around you to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but it's so much fun.
You got to have fun
Look
in
at
life.
me. I love that. But I mean, I knew the answer because I just love when I go to a customer's house, and I'll talk about fences because that's what I'm doing at the moment in my
Yeah.
life, right? And I walk out in their yard, and to me, it's a blank canvas. Unless there's already a fence there and we're just replacing existing, well, that's
Mm-hmm.
easy peasy lemon squeezy. Do you want vinyl? You want aluminum? You want wood? Whatever. Let's go from there. I got a blank canvas. Why don't we start it from here on the house? Because it's going to give you more yard room. Why don't we put the door here? Why don't we, whatever. And as I'm talking to them, their dog's playing with me. Well, I have a dog, so I can talk about dogs. I actually broke up a dog fight last year and my hand got crushed. It got broken in 4 places, and I couldn't even use it for a long time. That's why a lot of people laugh, because they see me always doing this. It's because my hand goes numb if I don't move it for a while.
Yeah.
And that's a true story. You can see the scars that are still there. We talk about that. We talk about their yard. I'll go in people's backyards and I'll be like, oh my gosh, dude, I can move in here. Can I come live in your yard? I mean, this is the spot, and suddenly we're not talking about fences anymore. Suddenly I've taken the pressure off. I'm not the sales guy. I've taken my sales cap off. What do you do for a living? Dude, do you work from home? Man, I wish I could work from home, but I got to come out and look at your yard, because when I got to put a fence in, I got to know if there's bumps and hips, blah, blah, blah. And, it's just so many people. I've gone out with salesmen who were in training.
Mm-hmm.
So go with Zach. Zach's our number 1 guy. Just go with him, ride with him for a day or 2. Let's see. And the first question, the second, I get back, the manager's like, so what do you think? I'm like, he's a sales guy. Or no, he's really good. He had a great rapport with the people. Yeah. Whatever. They know my reactions. I won't say anything mean, because you never know. Someone could turn into a rock star.
Yep.
But but I tell them, dude, it's just a fence. Stop. Don't. I will tell them straight off the bat. They'll ask me questions about it. I know enough about the product to wet their whistle. Yeah. I'm not product dumping. So when I got in the car business, as I was explaining, when I went into Toyota had like walk around competitions. That was their thing. Like the new car side guys had to know the new cars, top to bottom, back to front, whatever. Had to know everything, all the specs, because they did walk around competitions. I didn't want to do that. I hated it with a passion. It sounded very robotic. I went into used cars because you know why? every used car is its own unique individual. There's not another one on it like at the lot. There's 15 Corollas sitting right next to each other, and out of the 15, 6 of them are white, and the rest are
Yep.
red or blue. No, there's only one Supra twin turbo parked over here that's a 1984 that has 3,000 miles on it, whatever.
Yeah.
So I loved it because of that, and I loved doing. I was always the goofy guy. We popped the hood, and I'd be like, you know what that is, and you get some muscle, car guy, and be like, oh, that's a blah 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 blah. And I was like, nah, it's a motor. Just let your mechanic worry about it. And then they laugh and they're like, oh, so you don't even know. I'm like, and I had a guy who was one of our lot guys, and he'd walk by and be like, yeah, Zach don't fix them. He just sells them. He don't know nothing what's under that hood. And the people would laugh, and it was great.
I know my role, by the way. That's a good thing.
I am not a grease monkey. If you ask me to change oil, I could probably figure it out. Ask me to change out a battery, I got you. Tell me to change out an air filter, probably. Can I recalibrate the spark plugs? I cannot. And now I open up, like if I go into my truck, I had to pop it up the other day to put some water in the window washer fluid, and I still look at the motor and go, I freaking have no idea what's under this hood. I don't even know. It's a 3.5 turbo, whatever. I don't care. It's fast. I have fun in it.
But by the way, that's the greatest thing for all the salespeople listening. Listen to what Zach just said. There's a lot of things you don't need to know to be successful at solving someone's problem or giving them what they want. You don't need to know everything.
But read your audience.
Yes.
If you're with Sally Homemaker, who's looking for the minivan to take the kids to school and go grocery shopping, go over the safety features. Yeah. Explain to her why her children are going to be so safe in this van, right? Because that's very near and dear.
Yeah.
But don't get confused, because you get that one Sally you think is Sally Homemaker and she's not. She's Sally Motorhead. You better be able to read her too, because she's going to start talking about the motor, and you can be like, no, honey, just look in the mirror. This is where you put your lipstick on. Just look here. There was a car commercial. They had, it was the Lot Badger. Oh my gosh. Car guys, find the Lot Badger on YouTube. Funniest freaking thing in the world. Don't be the Lot Badger. Anyway,
I gotta go look that up.
Here you go, man. This is where you put your makeup on right here. Yeah.
One of my old friends, he was the head of training when I worked at TriNet for 5 years. And Dave and I always laughed. You want to know who knows the most about the product? Look at the bottom of the stacked rankings.
Really?
That person knew the most about a product. They product dumped. They threw up on them. They never, one of the things I always do when I go into big organizations as a sales fractional leader, sales consultant, whatever, or when I was just coming in as the new VP, CRO, whatever, I go, what are all our all the things we can do for people? What are our value propositions? Whiteboard. We put 10, 15 of them up. Great. Every company has 10 or 15. I go, awesome. I go, now let's learn how to ask the right questions so we know what is important to Scott, to Zach, to Amy, to Jane. Because otherwise, to your point, if I tell you about the engine and you care about safety for your kids, lost you. Didn't win the deal.
Yeah, 100%. And or if you disrespect, and we learned this early on, if you disrespected a woman by thinking, where's your husband? We'll wait for him to make the decision. Or is your daddy buying the car? Who's going to do the numbers? Whatever. So my wife, her dad owned a megaplex of car dealerships in Iowa. He owned 8 car stores. Mm-hmm. She grew up around cars all her life. She can negotiate. She can make a decision on a vehicle. Trust and believe. She's not the one you're going to go, well, we'll wait till Zach gets back. And she'll be like, no, I'm telling you what I'm paying, and that I don't care what he says, right? Yeah. But she plays dumb sometimes because she knows, all right, big boy,
you want that fun.
You negotiate, and I'm not going to say nothing until you let me say something. My wife also knows that when I want to buy a car, I'm the worst. If it's what I want, it doesn't matter. The salesman's going to make money on me because I'm just like, yes, I want it. Okay, thank you. But if I can afford it, I'm buying it. Whatever. So what do I care?
My godson sells cars, so I always go to him He's been doing it for 2-3 years ago. How low can I get on this and not and make sure the guy still the salesperson still makes money?
Let me tell you what.
It should be a win-win, right? That's how
There's the dealership we bought our trucks from. My wife has a Bronco Raptor and I have a regular Raptor. And I'm going to say it's Starling Ford in Titusville. The GM's name is Oliver, and my salesman, he's the sales manager. His name is Brad. They treat me like family. I could text them right now and be like, "What's up, guys?" And they'll be like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And I will always buy a car from them.
Yeah.
And I was never a Ford guy, and they sold me, and I'm done. I'll never go anywhere else, right? And people are like, "Oh, you just did a prop for somebody." Whatever. I don't care. Those guys went out of their way to treat me and still treat me. Christmas Day, I get a text from them. Hey, Merry Christmas. How's the family? I'll send a picture of the Bronco, in the front yard. They think it's hilarious because my wife has this big Bronco Raptor, giant freaking truck, right? And she'll park it in the grass as a joke. She's like, hey, look, I went off-road, whatever. So there it is. That's about as close to off-road as it'll ever go. So, but, so when you find somebody, as we did, I literally had, Oliver, he was pretty funny about it. He's like, look, man, the first truck I bought from him was I had a big GMC 2500 AT Ford, big diesel monster truck. And, yeah, I'm a big truck guy. I'm a big guy. I drove small cars most of my life, and I hated it.
I'm a truck guy.
Yeah, I love
like, you moved to Texas, got a truck. I go, I've had trucks since 2009.
Yeah, they're the best. Texas. My wife loves it because she sits up higher than everybody, and she feels safe. It's because she can see. Yeah.
At this point in my life, that's part of it for me too.
Right. She also is a little proud because she'll pull up next to another Bronco and hers towers over it. And she looks down at him. She's like, peasant. But it's hilarious. But
that's great.
And I bought this truck from them, but they had screwed up on the pricing, and they had put it on the internet for the price they got it for. And I happened to see it. And Oliver's like, Zach, I'll sell it to only you for that price. But understand, we're not negotiating a penny. I go, well, we haven't even talked about my trade yet. And he's like, oh, always a salesman. I knew it. I mean, they treated me right, though. It didn't matter. And that's why I'll always buy from them. And if they made money, I really don't care. They got me. I bought the warranty. I bought everything.
To make money. It's got to be a win-win.
Yes. There's nothing worse than a salesman going into battle. Every house I walk up to, every customer I greeted on the lot, every sales position I've ever been in, I look at them as my next customer.
Yeah.
I don't look at them as how much money I'm going to make from them. I look at them as my next customer or family member. Okay. Because everybody deserves to buy something. Now, do they have that same mentality when they're walking up to me? They're like, no, here comes another scumbag salesman. I get it. I get it. Look, I came from the generation where the guys wore the plaid, polyester pants and, hey, little darling, let's make a deal right now, and, whatever. But it once you learn as a salesman, and this is, I'm taking your thunder, but once you learn how to build relationships, you be able to write your own checks.
You said a few things in there. So yes, relationships. We talked about relationships. I want to say something else that you hit on, and I want all the salespeople to really listen to this. You basically said, I go up to people to make them my customer, but also the underlying to that is I'm not a scumbag salesperson, which means I'm your equal. It's, when I go into businesses and they say, do sales training for our 5 reps or 50 reps. One of the first things I do is put the word sales up on a big, whiteboard or whatever, big piece of paper. I go, I want you to give me one word or like a 2 to 3 word phrase of what you mean, what is sales. And then at the end I go, all right, positive or negative? Is this a positive connotation on sales or negative? And this is a room full of salespeople. So all you salespeople, listen. Right. 2/3 of the words or phrases are negative.
Sure.
If you think sales is not a good thing, how do you think, and you're wondering why you're maybe not consistent in how you're producing, you got to believe what you do is a good thing. You're helping people. Sales, you're helping people. That's my belief. I believe it in the core of my being. You've got to look at it that way, which also means, and I've done a lot more significantly more B2B than B2C in my life. When I walk into an office and someone makes me wait 10 minutes and they don't apologize, it's not an ego thing. It's you either respect what I'm about to potentially do for you,
Correct.
or you don't. And if you're not going to respect me, I don't want your business.
Right.
We're
Well,
equals.
lesson learned. My father-in-law went into his doctor's office. Doctor made him wait. I don't even know how long, but
Doctors don't love
he walked out before seeing the doctor. He just walked out and he left a piece of paper folded up on the nurse's station, said, "Give this to the doctor." It was a bill for his time. He said, "Thanks for wasting my time. You owe me money." And guess who never waited ever again? Yeah. Every time he walked in there, the doctor was right there waiting for him. I mean, but Chuck kind of my wife's father was he ran his town, so that was how Chuck ran it.
But he's right. And listen,
yeah.
I remember one time when my son was sick and he was about 10 years old. We were waiting over 40 minutes. But I'm like, he's sick. He needs something. He was a little bit of asthma kicked in, you name it. He just had it really bad. So I'm like, all right, I can't go somewhere else. Plus I got to get back to work. And the doctor came in and she goes, "I first just want to apologize." She goes, "I know you've been waiting far too long." She goes, "We had an emergency with one of the infants. So it was more of a pediatric." And she goes, "And I promise this will never happen again." You know what? That's who we went to for the next 5 years while we lived in that area.
Sure.
Because I get it. You apologized, you recognized, and you shared. I asked, not that you have to ask for my forgiveness. I don't have an ego that way. Which goes, I hope you allow us to have another opportunity to show you how we really take care of our patients. And I looked at her, I said, obviously you take care of your patients really good because of an emergency and you knew you had to focus on it. And the fact that you're even saying this to me, I go, "Oh, we'll be back."
Yeah. And and it's just like when I'm running late for an appointment, I send a quick text. "Hey, got jammed up at a spot." And I've never had anybody, I'm lying. Once a guy told me, "Don't waste my time anymore." Okay. I said, I was at an install. We had an emergency. I had to take care of it. And my boss even called him and the guy's like, nah, we waited too. Okay. He's like, "Fine, whatever, dude."
You're not the kind of client I want.
9 times out of 10, everybody's like, "Drive safe, take your time, whatever."
Yeah.
And I'm not one. I don't like being late to anything. I'm actually you're
10 minutes early most of the time.
Always.
Yeah, that's what salespeople are.
Always, yeah. Yeah. Well,
drives my girlfriend up the wall. I'm like, "We got to go." She's like,
I was taught at a young age, if you don't show up early, then you're late.
It's the old Bill Belichick, right?
So, yeah. Well, it was my dad, but he wasn't Bill Belichick. I'd be probably a little bit different financially. Maybe, I don't know. I might be in the football industry. So, this has been great. Enjoyable conversation. I think we should do it again. I
look forward to it.
I'm looking forward. So you might be interested. So Dr. Chris, who I interviewed last week, Jacob Salem, who owns Salem Communications, who I interviewed a while ago, which is a big national speaking company, and then a friend of mine, Daniel Quijano, who is one of the top closers in the world. Let me tell you what, this, as I said last week, he could convince his mom that she didn't give birth to him, and she would probably at the end of the day go, "Yeah, you're right, I didn't." That's how good he is.
All right. That's a good. I like that.
So we're going to do a round table. I want to bring some sales geniuses to a round table and just do fire against each other and have fun. Yeah. And I'd like to have you on that show. I think it would be.
Thank you. Honored that you would even ask, and heck yeah, count me in. I love that stuff. Oh, excellent. Okay. I love being put on. Oh yeah, count me in.
Yeah, and I'm not going to probably be able to say much. I'm just going to sit back and go, "All right, you guys are the experts, so have at it. Let's
Oh, come on. You're going to say a little bit. We know you.
Yeah. It's true.
But listen, you're also a sales guru. I mean, look what you've done in your career, crossing industries. You've obviously been successful. So the great thing is we all have different perspectives, different industries, different things we've sold. So you just have some great back and forth.
And before we wrap up, my dad was a school teacher for 40 years, right? And I always looked at it, how did he stay at the same job for 40 years, right? I can't even stay at the same. I'm going on 4 years, so I'm lying. But I get bored so easily. Or again, I have that shiny object syndrome. Someone dangles a carrot in front of me and they're offering me big money and the pie in the sky. And 9 times out of 10, I've learned that I'm not getting the pie. I'm getting a slice, and it's a small slice, and I'm hungry. So that's the wrong thing to do to me. But I just think with my, and maybe you can relate with our background and what we've done and gone through, it's made who we are.
Sure.
If I worked at the same car dealership for 40 years, I would never have met the people I've met. I've never have done the things that I've done. I might not have met my wife. You know,
Yeah.
I'd still be in Jersey, so I definitely wouldn't have met her. And I just say, don't get frustrated if you're working and you're grinding and you're not getting respected and you're not making the money you need to do, and you say, all right, I'm done, I'm going somewhere else. Don't get discouraged, don't get frustrated. Do it. Step out. Like 100%. You stepped out for your coaching.
Yep.
I threaten to step out all the time, and my wife smacks me in the head with a baseball bat. But because she says, put away the shiny object, work on your podcast. I also do voice acting and I do voice work. And she's like, work on that. You know, let's get that going. So before you go, because I can't even take it. If I took another full-time job, it would probably screw everything up. So,
sounds like a smart woman.
Yeah, she is. She knows me. I have too many, as she says, you have too many pokers in the fire. Knock it off. But I just want to give that advice to everybody. Just don't get frustrated. Just go be the best you can be wherever you want to be. It's not the 80s where you have to work for 40 years for, you know, a $40 watch when you retire, you know, and your 401k.
No,
it is not, because it ain't there anymore, you know. And
by the way, they will get rid of you if the business environment changes. Even I've been fired when I was 200% of quota 6 months in. I was double the annual quota 6 months in, and business environment changed. They shut down the division. We all got fired. Happens.
Key point. Second key point. Don't let your job take away from your family. I learned that the hard way in the car business. My first marriage obviously fell apart. Sadly, there was other things, but that's regardless.
Yeah.
I take responsibility. Don't let it step in front of your family, because you know what? I could have dropped dead. They would have stepped over me and replaced me in the same day.
Yep.
It's a sad fact. Life must go on. Yep. So do what you got to do to make the best for you and your family and yours, and enjoy what you do and make a ton of money.
Amen.
You know, that's all there is to it. So do you want to promote anything? Let's promote your website, your book. I know you got stuff going on.
Yeah, salescalers.com. That's 2 S's in the middle, salescalers.com, where you'll find everything. You know, if you want to reach out to me, anyone, you want to you'll find all my social media stuff. So just go to salescalers.com. You've got a question, shoot me a message. I will respond. I will. I promise you. We've got a new book
today.
Yeah. We've got a new book coming out next month called Wait, Don't Hire the VP of Sales Yet. And it's focused on founder-led companies, you know, 1 to 20 million in revenue. You're still the top salesperson, and you need to take that hat off your head. So we do some stuff there, but we're also going to have next month, we're going to be launching some online stuff as well. So we're just working on that. So sometime by the end of March, that'll come out. My old book 3 years ago, Ka-Ching, is still very relevant. It doesn't teach you how to do a cold call. It's more about a lot of things, Zach, we talked about: mindset, relationship building, things like that. So yeah, I mean, any way I can help anyone, that, as you know, I'm trying to reach 10 million people. So shoot me a message via the website, via email, via LinkedIn, and I will respond. Hey, what would you do in this scenario? I love those questions. I love when the young people, if you've got some kids at home who are thinking about a sales career, I would love to talk to them. I get to mentor over at the University of Texas, the students. It's one of my favorite things I get to do. So yeah, that's salesskillers.com. Any way I can help you.
That's awesome. Question. Is your business, your coaching, is that anywhere in the world? Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Anywhere in the world, or are you Texas based, or will you go anywhere?
No, I mean, it's nowadays everything's via a Zoom camera. So my clients are all over actually I got a couple outside of the US. So yeah. And I've had in the past, so yeah, I mean, time zone comes into play at some point, but yes, all over.
So if somebody needs a great sales guru, they can look you up.
They can look me up. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Scott, thank you very much. I had a blast talking to you. I look forward to talking to you again. And guys, you know where to find us. We're on the World Wide Web under nobrainershow.com. You can find us on YouTube at No Brainer Shows with an S, because somebody else has the other one. And of course, we're on all the social media sites at No Brainer Show, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm learning TikTok. And then we're also on all the Audible platforms. So we're on Apple, Spotify, all those great platforms too. So if you don't want to look at my face, you want to just listen to my voice, it'll put you to sleep. Until next time, keep doing what you're doing, keep rocking and rolling, and peace.